They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What do people call you, Pete?
Mr. Joshua.
What's your name?
Shrek.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
Look, there comes one of them now.
It was the night before Christmas, and all through the house, 3 Schreckengasts, well, 2.5, were sitting talking about Christmas movies. So welcome to this Yuletide season, and we've got
What's
Mr.
a Yule?
It's a log. I don't know.
Okay.
Welcome to our Christmas special. I am Shrek. We've got here with us Mr. Joshua. Say hi, Mr. Joshua.
This is Mr. Joshua. It's the holiday season, and I gotta say hello. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. Yeah, welcome to the special. It's exciting. We're here. Holiday. It's almost Christmas. We're actually recording this pretty close to Christmas, so
Get that Christmas feel in.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit. I've already watched a Christmas movie this season, so
You watched one tonight. You watched 2 already.
yeah, I have watched 2 already. That's
Well, and let's bring in our third person here. We've got, when we started this podcast, at the very beginning, we were talking about doing specials. One of the people who would come on and do some of our extra stuff here and there, our guest person, said, if you guys do a Christmas special, you have to bring me in on this because I want to totally talk about Christmas movies. And that is going to be our resident conscience, I guess, around here. Chorizo. Say hi, Chorizo.
Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas.
That was a very succinct intro. I appreciate that. Way to fill us in on how you're doing this time of year. I'm so glad to hear it.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted more. Well, yes. Okay, so Christmas movies. Can I introduce this now?
Yeah, well, let's go
Okay,
ahead.
okay.
This is our theme for the special.
Okay, so yes, I have a beef with Christmas movies, as we have discussed.
Now, I love Christmas movies, as we'll get into later. So,
And I'm going to be the voice of reason here. Mr. Joshua loves Christmas movies. Chorizo absolutely hates them. And I'm kind of indifferent to them. I can give them, I can take them, whatever. They're just regular movies, no different from any other movie to me.
and before we get into it, fun fact: even though I love Christmas movies, I'm actually, as everyone can who knows me can state, I'm not a huge fan of Christmas itself, actually. But I do love Christmas movies. Maybe that's because I love movies. But go ahead and continue, Chorizo, as you were starting to introduce our Christmas movies. What is your beef?
My beef. Okay, and to clarify, I don't exactly hate Christmas movies. Like, I don't despise them or anything like that. It's just I can't really sit through one of them without wanting to gouge my eyes out. So yeah.
You cut me deep.
That sounds like a lot of hate. You
Yeah.
say you don't hate movies, but you want to gouge your eyes
Yeah,
out.
that makes me feel pain.
But there are certain ones that I can tolerate, and we'll get into those later. But anyway, so my beef with Christmas movies is that, Santa. I hate Santa.
Okay.
And
Santa is a great character. As I watched in Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas this year, he is a classic, real person, as we all know, and he was an interesting fellow. Some great stories about the guy. He has an unusual character. But the modern legend, the Coca-Cola Santa, as I'll call him, because that's kind of been around. I don't even know how the modern thing of him started. He's fun. There's some things you can say about him. There's some things that are wrong with him. But he's in a lot of Christmas movies for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, he is the face of Christmas. I mean, when you think about Christmas, it should be about Christ, okay? Because it's Christmas, not Christmas. It's really Christmas. But for some reason, we get this jolly old fat man with rosy red cheeks and a big beard, a big white beard, who has become the face of Christmas.
It's consumer miss.
It has turned into that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been coined. I don't know if I've never read that though. But that's totally what it is. But I have no problem with Santa as a character. I mean, we're not going to talk about the great and other things. As a character, Santa can be fun. He's a little overused, but you can have a good time with him. I mean, there's so many movies you can do. You can do a lot of different things with it, from a serious movie like kind of something like Miracle on 34th Street to something like Ernest Saves Christmas. You know, you can go over a pretty good range with him. So, I mean, I know I don't agree with your Santa always, but I don't understand the hate.
Well, here's my thing. Okay, so with Christmas movies that involve Santa, what I hate the most are the Christmas movies where everything is falling to pieces, everyone's so sad and gloomy and grumpy, blah, blah, blah. And there's always that one person who's like, oh, you have to believe it's Christmas, you know, and stuff like that. And then, like, oh, Santa comes and he saves the day. I hate that. I hate it. Like,
I love the energy. She really feels so much for this.
Do you actually think that she hates it? Because you can tell in her voice that she just despises the whole Santa saves everything kind of Christmas.
It's like you know, that character like an Umbridge that you love to hate. You just
I don't hate Santa.
did you just compare me to Umbridge, or were you comparing Santa to Umbridge?
I was comparing how you feel about Santa to how Umbridge is, or Hannibal Lecter, or somebody that you love to hate that character. That's almost how it seems with you. Would that be accurate?
Kind of, sort of. I mean, I don't know. He gets on my nerves a lot. So that's kind of beef number one summed up into a little package there.
Okay, before we go on, since we're not number one, Shrek, thoughts on Santa? What are your thoughts on Santa?
I really don't have any thoughts. I mean, what I don't like, and kind of getting out of the Christmas movie thing, but the whole Santa thing is that when parents don't let their kids experience Santa, I think it's something for the kids. I don't think it's necessarily something that should be for adults. I mean, it's a kid, the whole magical Santa thing. It's great for kids' movies. It's great for the whole kid mentality. But as you grow into an adult, I don't think that Santa's that. And our mother, she like collects Santas.
I remember believing, though.
Yeah, I remember believing, but I don't believe anymore. And I think that, like you said, he's an overused character. They use him way too much. And it's always the same kind of story like Chorizo pulls out. He always saves the day. There's very few, Christmas movies that involve Santa Claus, the actual Santa Claus, not somebody being Santa or something like that, where he doesn't come in and save the day at the last minute or whatever. It's just,
sometimes they got it's either he saves the day or they have to save Santa.
My thoughts succinctly here are Santa's good for kids, not so much for adults. Your thoughts, Mr. Joshua?
Like I said, to let you get on to beef too. I think he's great. A little overused. We could, come up with some more ideas, as we'll get into when we talk about the movies we really love and how little they have, how they relate to Christmas. So beef too. Let's hear it.
Well, and this is kind of, well, no, it's not really stemming from that. Never mind. But the other thing that I get really grouchy about is that all of a sudden Christmas rolls around and people are like, oh, we have to love one another and we have to be generous and we have to do this and we have to do that and we have to all of a sudden embody all of these values and stuff like that. And that's really, I think it's forced in a lot of the movies, and they kind of do go hand in hand with a lot of the Santa Saves the Day Christmas movies, where again you have that grump and everyone's like, oh, we have to make the grump feel better, and whatnot. Like, but why can't we just be like that all year round? And I don't like feeling forced. Like, I don't like movies forcing me to feel stuff, and I feel that a lot of Christmas movies force me to feel stuff.
And okay, my argument to that is every holiday is based around that in some way. For Thanksgiving, why aren't you thankful for all these things you have year round? That's what Thanksgiving do. Why do you hate Thanksgiving? I mean, when you have Memorial Day, you're supposed to remember the people who served, and Veterans Day, these people who served in the military. Do you not think about those people year round? Why? That's what every holiday is about. It's about drawing attention to those things that you wish you should embody all year. That's why there's a naughty and a nice list, because you want to be on the nice list by following those rules all year long and being good and being that person. And that's what I think is the fun spirit about Christmas. It kind of does that in a silly way a lot of times. But I think Christmas is just a good time. especially in the movies.
And, it kind of goes with the movies, and then it kind of goes without the movies as well. Like, in the real world, like, you hear all this stuff all the time about, commercials, everybody shoving this down your throat, the Christmas spirit, right? That everybody should love one another, everybody should be happy and whatnot. I worked retail, and I will tell you right now that the worst time of the year is Christmas time. There is the most mean-spirited, not Christmas-spirited, mean-spirited people out around the holidays. And they treat each other like they're pieces of meat. Nobody cares about anybody. Yet it's this weird dichotomy where you see all the way on, all the movies and commercials and TV. They're telling you about the Christmas spirit all the time. And then when you actually go out into the world and try to experience the Christmas spirit, it's like 10 times worse than any normal day. Like the mean-spirited, hateful, spiteful kind of people that are out around Christmas. And the movies try to give this glossy, overtone to the Christmas time, but it's really not like that at all, period.
And I can't agree with you that either. It says the person who is one of the most prevalent in buying gifts for people that I know, and being really into the spirit of Christmas and giving me a hard time when I'm kind of being a grump about it and things like that. I think that's kind of awkward that you would say that, because you get into it yourself, even though you're
I'm talking about society as a whole. I'm not talking about me. Individual people, they get into that spirit, okay? You can't really, when you look at things, you have to look at society as a whole. And you see this all the time in the movies and stuff like that. But I saw the vast majority of people out there do not believe in the Christmas spirit at all. If they do, it's at home behind closed doors with their family. They don't care about showing the Christmas spirit to anybody else but the people that they know and they care about. Me, I'm more of I'm kind of a Christmas spirit kind of guy all year round. But I can see where you're coming from, but I think it's totally wrong, because I'm talking about society as a whole.
Yeah, and just to kind of expand on that, okay, so Thanksgiving comes around, we celebrate what we are thankful for. We have certain holidays, yes, that highlight certain, events or values or things that we should spend more time thinking about or appreciating, like Mother's Day or Father's Day. But what I'm saying is that with Christmas, I don't know. I just feel like it's a little forced. A little bit of it is propaganda, which, interestingly enough, this is kind of bleeding into the next point, but about the commercialism and the capitalism that is also involved in that, which, that's
it's all,
forced
everything's
as well.
about making money, yes. But at the same time, a gift doesn't have to be something you buy. Most people envision it this way. But as a person, you can give. That's what Christmas movies represent. They're trying to represent that positive spirit that you're supposed to have. Like, is it better to give someone a gift that you just buy? And you're like, oh, this is nice, they might like it, or give them something more thoughtful, like write them something, or make them something, or create something from the heart. Maybe they're equal. Maybe it depends on your perspective, but just that spirit is still there. The movies try and represent the best part of it, even though the real world obviously is not that. And that's what I like. I like movies that are hopeful and uplifting and stuff like that. And that's what you get in Christmas movies.
Yeah, but the only problem with that is that there's too many of them. Okay, if this was done on a, maybe one a year kind of thing, or a semi-regular,
we got to blame
not
the
too many.
Hallmark Channel and ABC. Those are the people that
those
make
movies
all this.
are terrible.
There's so many of them. I want to get into that. I love half of them. I love all of them, actually, because they're just all so bad, and so they're the exact same thing no matter what happens. Pretty much, it's always the same thing, no matter how ridiculous the story. I watched one today. You can. They're so fun. They're horrible. I know you guys hate them, though, don't you?
I was gonna say those are the ones that make me want to gouge my eyes out. Because like I said, I do have a number of them that I can tolerate, where I'm not like, oh my gosh, turn this off. But it's just, oh my gosh, the cheese and let's pour a little bit more sugar and syrup and marshmallow fluff
and be actors. You gotta love the be actors.
But that's one of the food groups is syrup. You got to remember, syrup is one of the key food groups.
So I think these movies are great because they're all the same and they're all fun. You can pop it on, and it's literally the same thing all the time.
But yeah, I would rather go back and watch an 80s action movie, which every single one of them is the same, than watch another Hallmark Christmas movie, for sure.
But
I mean, give me Don the Dragon Wilson over I don't even know who's
Amy Smart.
Yeah, any I don't even know who's on those Hallmark movies, but
so many people. There, any B class actor. The one I watched today had Patrick Muldoon. I just wanted to say Muldoon, but there's so many good ones. I love the holiday movies. You obviously guys don't. What do you think?
Well, I don't hate them. I don't love them. Chorizo, she hates them. You love them. I'm indifferent to them. They're no different than any other movie. I think there's too many of them, and they're all very similar. Happy-go-lucky. Santa saves the day, or let's have this Christmas spirit. Just like you pointed out on your two beefs. Do you have any more beefs about Christmas movies, Chorizo?
Yeah, but before we go any farther, do you have any more beefs?
In general about this topic, or about what we were just talking about?
Whichever you'd like.
Wait, no, I think I got my main points across, maybe.
All right. Well, so before we go into our list here of movies we love, I want to give some honorable mentions. I know we haven't talked about this, but I want to give some honorable mentions. I'm just going to throw a few out, give you guys a second to think. Ernest Saves Christmas here is an honorable mention for me. It's so ridiculous and over the top. And pretty much any other Hallmark movie.
No, we already established that I don't like the Hallmark movies. Ernest Saved Christmas. I mean, what's his name? Vernon.
Jim Varney.
Jim Varney. I knew it started with a V. This guy. I mean, it's Ernest. You can't help but love Ernest. So Ernest Saves Christmas is fine in my book.
I'm surprised to hear you say that. I'm satisfied though.
I have nothing to say about that because I've never seen it. But I have an honorable mention of my own, and you guys are going to argue against this one. But I really like the movie Dutch.
Dutch is not
actually a Christmas movie.
Thanksgiving movie.
It's a Thanksgiving movie.
That's why I said you guys were going to argue about it.
Wow. Okay. Is it just something you watch or at Christmas, or why would we argue that?
I think the first time she's seen it was with us.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I don't think it was Thanksgiving. No, it was Thanksgiving, but it's a holiday movie. That's why I'm lumping it into this category.
Okay.
Because, well, in the world, Christmas actually starts in October. So,
well, then can we include Planes, Trains, and Automobiles in our, even though that's a Thanksgiving movie? Because that movie is
that's a good one too.
That's the R-rated version of Dutch, pretty much.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, we're not going to include Dutch. I mean, we've already just made a discussion here. It's not a Christmas movie.
You're such a Grinch.
All right, so
it's not a Christmas movie. It's something. It actually has to do with Christmas, and Dutch has nothing to do with Christmas at all. Do you have any more honorable mentions there, Mr. Joshua?
I had one just a minute ago, but I lost it because I've been having some tea time, and it's It's beyond me at this point. So let's get into our list. Who wants to go first with their number 5?
I think our guests should go. Now, this is going to be Mr. Joshua's top 5 Christmas movies. This is going to be Shrek's top 5 Christmas movies. But, Chorizo, tell us what this list is going to be for you.
My list is the top 5 Christmas movies that I can actually tolerate and watch all the way to the end.
And I'm going to make some points about that later because I'm going to argue that your list is actually a top 5 list later. All right.
So let's start with her.
Number 5.
For her number 5 Christmas movie that she can tolerate.
And that would be The Muppets Christmas Carol.
The Muppets Christmas Carol. There's a lot of versions of the Christmas Carol. Muppets Christmas Carol. Why this one?
Because it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And I like the song We're Marley and Marley. Woo! I love that song.
I remember liking the Muppets, Christmas Carol, but I can't recall very many scenes or anything from it at the specific moment. Just I remember enjoying it when I was younger, and I'm not a huge Muppet fan, so that's surprising.
That was actually the first Muppet movie that I watched.
I think
so. There's probably a little nostalgia there.
Can you expound on why you can tolerate this one a little bit more?
No Santa. However, they do have Scrooge, who everyone's trying to cheer up, so it kind of, goes with that, but it's different. It's not forcing me to feel anything.
Fun fact about Scrooge, the term humbug is really what he's saying is not that that it's like you're stupid or something. He's saying you're phony is what he's actually saying. Like your spirit is Christmas, how fake. That's kind of what humbug means.
And I disagree. They're trying to make you feel something you just got to think about the little Tim, the little Tiny Tim kind of character. They totally make you want to feel something for that character, and it's totally in line with your, the reasons that you dislike Christmas movies.
I focus more on Scrooge, I think, because I identify with him. Just kidding.
All right, so my number 5 is actually another version of A Christmas Carol. This one starred Bill Murray, came out in I think like '88 or something like that. Also had Bobcat Goldswaith, among other people, and was pretty enjoyable. It was called Scrooged, and I really liked this. It was kind of a different spin. It was the same story. It had some fun moments. It also had what's her name, Karen Allen. From Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, yeah.
I always like Karen Allen. I think she's a great actress.
Yeah, and this movie, I think it had a lot of fun. It was kind of different. It was more of an 80s approach to it. They obviously took a modern approach to the story. And it was so ridiculous how horrible his character was. They really made him. He's talking about like stapling, because they had little ants, little mice and stuff, and they were trying to make them little reindeer. He's like, just staple them on to their heads and stuff like that. Like, it was just so ridiculous and over the top. I really enjoyed Scrooge.
Yeah,
So
how can you? How can you not disagree with Bill Murray in anything in the '80s period? And then even going into a little bit to the '90s, from like '77
Give me
up to
Bill
like
Murray in
'93.
Give me Bill Murray in anything.
He's lost his touch now.
No, anything.
He's lost his touch.
All right, let's.
But Scrooge is very good. Christmas Carol. I like the story of Christmas Carol. I don't really recall the Muppets version of it too much. But I'm going to go with my number 5 here. Is going to be my boy Arnold with the Rock'em Sock'em Jetpacks. Jingle All the Way. No, my number 5, starring Arnold, Sinbad.
A movie with Sinbad. We're really picking up. No, how could a movie with Sinbad?
But we got Jake Lloyd. We got young Anakin. Young Anakin is the kid in that movie. How can you argue with that?
I don't even know what to say now. Like, you just get totally discredited
Phil
your pick.
Hartman.
Okay, that brought you back a little bit.
All right, there we go. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad, Jake Lloyd, and Phil Hartman. Come on.
Phil Hartman should be second in that list.
No. He's last. Jake Lloyd is second, next to Arnold, then Sinbad, then Phil Hartman. Now Phil Hartman's probably second.
Yeah, Phil Hartman's second.
But I mean that's a great movie.
It's a fun movie. It's different. Again, we're talking. These movies aren't exactly the normal take.
Jim Belushi's in that too.
Yes, he is.
He's a crazy Santa.
But this is our first mention of a non-traditional Christmas story that we're going to see, which is I think most Christmas movies are non-traditional Christmas stories. I mean, I guess we mentioned our Christmas Carol was probably the only traditional.
See, I have none in my list. There's not a single traditional Christmas movie in my list. All of them are out of the box kind of Christmas movies.
There you go. So Jingle All the Way. Any more comments?
No. Just
Arnold.
How could Arnold not be in a top 5 list? Arnold. How could he not be in a top 5 list?
You can invent a reason to have any number, like him on any list.
I'm going to put him in every list from now on. From here on out, he's going to be in every list.
There you go. All right.
All right, Chorizo, you're number 4.
All right, number 4 is going to be Die Hard. Now, I know that bringing that up is going to, cause a lot of people to get their, knickers in a twist. Because when I lived in Ohio, my friends and I debated endlessly sometimes on whether or not Die Hard was a Christmas movie. We were pretty split 50-50, with one camp saying, yes, it is a Christmas movie, the other camp saying, no, it's just a movie that happens to take place during Christmas. Anyways.
I believe my definition of what a Christmas movie is, any movie where Christmas plays some significant role in the movie. Now, I would argue that in Die Hard, the Christmas party is the whole reason that everyone is there. It is what's going on. So that is a significant part of the movie, and I would include it into a list.
And I agree. Christmas is the time place that it takes place at. The whole point that he goes out there, like you said, to visit his family is for Christmas, and he just happens to get caught up in this adventure because of it. It is a Christmas movie. There's Christmas moments throughout, from the very beginning of the movie to the very end. Christmas is in that movie, and it's present. It's not just like a side glance, like you see a picture of Santa in the background. I mean, it is an important part of the movie. There's Christmas music in that movie. It's throughout the entire movie. Christmas is a part of it.
All right, so now why do you like this movie?
Action.
Action,
Explosions.
So-
Yippee-ki-yay. Need I say more?
I guess.
And that cop guy from Family Matters.
From Family Matters, where he's driving back in reverse and okay, we're good with that. My number 4 is a little more romantic, which is obviously more my style. And so I picked Love Actually. It's a British film with a large ensemble cast where there's lots of different stories going on.
Leave it to you to find the British friggin' Christmas movie and pick that in your list. Your obsession with Britishism is it's driving me insane.
We're not going to get into that because I don't think you have any solid ground to stand on. But even though I have kind of a flag on my arm, but I think Love Actually is a really good movie that has a lot of things different to say, creates a lot of different stories, some better than others. I know that Plain and Tall loves this movie as well as me. It's really hard not that it's really surprising that it's not higher on my list because the cast is so great and it has a lot of different. It's a love story basically of all different kinds of love, how love is falling apart, how it's creating new love, how love is different types of it, and I think it's fun. Have you guys both seen it? Have either of you seen this movie?
I think I caught small scenes of it when you were watching it one time, but I've never seen it.
Is Brandon Routh in this movie?
Brandon Roth? No, Brandon Roth is not in
Oh, I thought there was some movie like this. Okay, if he's not in it, then it's not any good. I've seen parts of it. It's romantic comedy, Christmas movies. I could really care less either way about Christmas movies, but you throw the romantic comedy thing in there, it doesn't really do anything with me.
Any movie with Colin Firth, Hugh Grant, Keira Knightley, and every other Alan Rickman, every other British actor you can think of under the stars in it is at least worth a watch, and it's actually pretty good. It's Richard Curtis's best movie.
See, I think that movie has two big strikes against it. One, it's a Christmas movie, and two, it's a rom-com. And we're not going to get into the rom-com discussion right now.
We got a couple months later to talk about that.
And you forgot to mention, I don't know if anybody knows this, we were just discussing it before we came up, but Andrew Lincoln, Mr. Rick Grimes from the Walking Dead AMC series, is actually in that movie as well.
And he was not a very big star at this point. And also Paul Freeman or whatever his name is, whatever his name is from The Hobbit, who has now also become pretty popular.
Yeah, the guy from Dr. Watson from Sherlock.
Every British actor you can think of is pretty much in this movie. There's so many people. All right, so
yeah, but they're British.
There's my number 4. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is going to be another one out of the box is going to be Bad Santa. Billy Bob Thornton. I mean, this is like the antithesis of Christmas movies. It does have that little Christmassy feel about it with Herman Merman. That's his name, I think.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, and the pink elephant, or is it purple? It's like Santa at his worst, but it still has that kind of good feel, especially when you get to the ending. I know Chorizo has not seen this one,
and should never see it.
And should never see it. Like I said, she's the conscious, she's the good one in our group. She would be spoiled if she ever watched this movie. Forever, like a bad, jug of milk. We could not have her ever watch this movie, but it's still a really decent, fun ride. It's very funny.
Decent is not a word that should be used when describing the film Bad Santa.
It's an enjoyable movie, and Billy Bob Thornton does a great job of playing this, this drunk mall Santa, who happens to actually be a criminal, and it's a great film. It makes you laugh. John Ritter, I think this was actually his last movie, and Bernie Mac, this was one of his last films as well before they both passed on, which is kind of weird. But Lauren Graham, she's great in the movie. I mean, it makes me laugh still to this day. I can watch it a bunch of times.
All right, so we're down to number 3. What's yours, Chorizo? Oh, she looks frustrated. She's forgotten what it was.
Oh, I remember what it is. Okay, A Christmas Story. And the reason why, I have to admit that I actually do like this movie quite a bit. Part of it, though, is there's a nostalgia aspect to it.
Okay, so hold on. We're already at your number 3, and we're not even halfway. We're less than halfway through the list, and you've already said you like this movie quite a bit. So I'm already going to argue this is your top 5 favorite Christmas movies and not that you can tolerate.
But, no. Okay, because it's not my favorite, or it's not on this list based on its own merits, is the thing. It's how my dad reacts to this ridiculous movie and how much he quotes it, like the fragile, must be Italian, and the leg lamp. We bought him a leg lamp. Like, that's how much he loves this film, and I love watching my dad watch this film.
I've never seen this movie in its entirety. I've only seen a few parts of it.
Okay, you're really somber over there, but I've seen it. I've seen it a bunch of times.
I'm embarrassed.
Going to the they do 24-hour Christmas
I know,
story
that's
marathons.
that's why I'm embarrassed that I've never actually watched the movie.
You better watch it this year. That's your job this year.
If it's on Netflix or I can find it to watch it tomorrow or
when
something.
they go to the Chinese restaurant for
I've
Christmas
seen the
dinner
end.
and
I've
everything.
seen the end of the film.
The BB gun
And
story
and the slide
I mean,
scene.
the licking up on the the pole, getting their tongue
I've
stuck.
seen the slide scene. I've seen
so
a
many
couple of
classic
scenes.
It's not on my list, but it is a Christmas classic.
Yeah, and so I've never seen it. So and you said you liked it though. So even if it's on its own merits, that's still important to you, and that's your number 3. So my number 3 is going to be probably Home Alone. Home Alone is such a classic for me. I remember watching it when it came out in theaters. I was the exact same age, pretty much as that character, and it's the ultimate fantasy movie, along with like Blank Check. It's one of those your ultimate kid movie where you're like, oh man, this would be so awesome to have this, and I could be the hero and have fun and do whatever I want. You know, when you're a kid, that stands out. It's a really well-made film. John Hughes is a great great writer. Chris Columbus did a great job directing it. The cast was good. I mean, there's so many things about this movie. I know some people think it's a little dated. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. There are a few minor flaws, but it's perfect. Macaulay Culkin nailed it.
And going back to what we said earlier with John Hughes, he also did Dutch and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So then you get the third one in here, even though those were Thanksgiving movies.
And Peggy Sue.
Oh, let's not even remember that. That movie was terrible. All right, Peggy Sue was terrible. But we're going to go with Dutch, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and Home Alone in this one. Home Alone was okay. Macaulay Culkin, I mean, it's that kid fantasy movie. Not for me. Like, if you listen to a few episodes ago, our zombie apocalypse episode, when I was a kid, I was dreaming about zombies the Reds, the Russians, taking over my school and me having to defend and fight against them. I wasn't thinking about burglars and stuff like that. I was thinking more on a global scale. But I can understand where the whole the kid fantasy, you've got to defend your house kind of thing can come from that. I understand that completely.
Chorizo, your thoughts on Home Alone?
I watched it last night, actually. And I can take it or leave it. This is one of the first movies that I can remember watching as a child, that I can recall my feelings whenever I watched it. And oh my gosh, in the first few scenes or whatever, whenever they're in the house and they're all eating the pizza, and then Kevin comes and he's fighting with Buzz, and all that whole scene right there. I remember just thinking, holy cow, like, how can this family treat this boy this way? And this boy's a jerk. Everyone's a jerk. This movie is just full of jerks. And I was just so shocked at how the family talked to each other and stuff. And that's all I could fixate on. And that's all I could remember.
Well, yeah, but that's part of what makes them so lovable. I don't know. Yeah, they're all horrible people, but that's okay. I love a lot of movies with only horrible people, and that's not a big problem because it's entertaining. It was well done. It was well acted. Those guys got the crap beat out of them.
And how can you argue with John Candy and Joe Pesci in the same movie? That's never happened.
That's true. I love me some John Candy. But, I mean, come on, the ending? Come on.
Oh, I love the ending.
The ending was horrible. It's like, oh, everyone comes over, oh, Kevin, pat on the head. Oh, it's pretty cool you didn't burn down the house.
It's because he was such a disease.
He was what the French call les incompetents.
Les incompetents. Yeah, so Home Alone, there you go. That's my number 3. It's not Santa Conquers the Martians. What's yours over there, Shrek?
Okay, my number 3, again, out of the box here, I've got to go with 1984, Joe Dante, Gremlins. I mean, first of all, how can you get anything cooler than Gizmo? He's like the cutest, awesomest, made up, kind of created character, the Mogwai. I mean, that's so amazing. The story with the Gremlins, with Stripe, it is a Christmas movie. It's got that Christmas feel throughout. You know, and the horror aspect just kind of brings it back. I mean, you know how I love horror movies, and Gremlins up there is up the top, especially when it comes to like holiday, because you've had like Silent Night, Deadly Night, those kind of things. Gremlins takes the cake by far as holiday horror movies. It's enjoyable on its own merits, and it's enjoyable as a horror movie as well.
I can't accept it only because it's not even the best film in its franchise. And it's not even one of my favorite franchises. And it's not even the best film in its franchise. So how could it be? And I love holiday movies. So how could it be in my top list?
Most people would disagree. We both like Gremlins 2.
Gremlins 2 is so ridiculous. It's amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, Gremlins is still a good movie.
It is still a good movie.
Yes.
But I even that alone keeps it out of my list.
Chorizo, do you have any thoughts on Gremlins before you go to your number 2?
Honestly, I don't remember the Christmas aspect of that movie. But that doesn't mean anything because I watched it once and it was like, what, a year ago?
Are you kidding me? Like the whole the gizmo is a Christmas
gift. That was why he was bought.
Was he? I thought it was a birthday present.
No.
She shows you how much I paid attention. But that movie gave me nightmares, so no.
Okay. So your number 2. What's your number 2? I think it's going to be interesting to hear. I'm excited.
Well, okay, I'm putting this in my number 2 spot, but it's actually tied for first, and it's A Wonderful Life.
And I'm going to go ahead and go out here because that's my number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and reach with you, even though it's not your number 2 because it's tied for first. That's my number 2 film. Let's hear it. Finish your thought.
Well, first off, I like classics. So right there, that's like ding, 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 brownie points.
It's the greatest classic Christmas film for sure. I mean, there's Miracle on 34th Street, there's White Christmas, Holiday Inn, there's all these other classic Christmas films. The original Christmas Carol from '38, but that's the one that stands out the most. It was nominated for Best Picture. It's timeless. It's aged well. A lot of people love this. My theater sold it out to 97%. There was only 4 seats left in the theater, which never happens. So people love this movie. I mean, what about this movie do you think is what makes it so special to you?
I like that the what's the guy's name?
Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah, but his character. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, I don't know. I just I remember Potter is the bad guy. That's all I remember.
Well, I like that I like that, you know, he can look back through his life and see like where if he didn't exist, where all of these things would have been just so different. And I guess I don't know, in a way I kind of entertain myself sometimes with thinking about that. You know, like, well, what if I wasn't there with this like certain event that happened in my life? What would have happened to that person? And so I just like that it reminds us how, you know, even one person can make such a huge difference even though his actions were small. But they had a really big impact on the town. And I don't know why, but I like that.
Sometimes we all feel so insignificant that it's really hard to imagine that in the grand scheme of things, we really affect anyone's lives that we come into contact with. I mean, as you go through your life, you feel so small, and all these events that happen to you just seem like minor things. But every person you touch, every person you meet has these connections, and that shapes who we are. It's the same as in your life, everybody you've met. And I think that's what makes this movie such a beautiful story. It was well done. It was well acted. And you just really realize one person can make a difference. One person can touch a lot of lives. And it's so beautiful a film.
And, you know, every time I think of It's a Wonderful Life, all I can think about is 2 things. The scene in Gremlins, my number 3, where she's watching It's a Wonderful Life and she's cutting onions and she's crying. And Peltzer comes in and he says something about, "Are you okay, Mom?" She's like, "Yeah, it's just these onions." And then the other thing is the Beavis and Butthead special, It's a Terrible Life. Those are the 2 things that I think of when it comes to A Wonderful Life. I like the movie. It's a good movie. It's definitely a classic. It should be up on any like top list for movies, especially holiday movies, even though it's not on my list, my top 5 anyway. It's a good movie. It's not my cup of tea, but I especially in that time period when it came out.
It wasn't popular when it came out.
I know that, but I mean that time period, and it's been around for a long time. because it is a good story.
Almost 70 years. Yeah.
It's a story where people who are feeling down on themselves and stuff like that, they look at their lives and say, well, what if I had done this differently? And they don't realize that everything that they've done has led up to where they're at now, and it has affected people all around them. And I think everybody kind of gets this thought in their mind. And the movie kind of started it out. It's the first time it was actually put on screen like that.
Yeah. And final thought before we move on to your number 2, not a final thought, a final fun fact. It's a Wonderful Life is actually based off of a Christmas card. That is what the inspiration for It's a Wonderful Life was, actually a Christmas card. And you may have this beautiful movie that was made by Frank Capra, and it stood the test of time. All right, Shrek, let's hear your number 2.
Okay, my number 2, Chorizo already mentioned it, is going to be Die Hard. Yeah, people say it's not a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas. We've already defended this. And my Christmas movies are all kind of out of the box. John McClane, we're talking about Bruce Willis here. This is the movie that put him on the map. He has a career because of this movie. And as far as 80s, 90s-ish action movies go, there's really 3 people you think about: Bruce Willis, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And this was the movie that really put Bruce Willis on the map. It's a great movie. You got Alan Rickman in it. Just across the board, the action is great. The story is great. The second one, which was also a Christmas movie, wasn't very good. But the
it
first
wasn't
one,
horrible, but it's just a rehash. This is why sequels.
It's pretty much a rehash. But the first one was great. So now we're moving on to our number 1s. All 3 of our number 1s.
I think we all have the same one here, so we might as well just belt it out. I think we all love Christmas Vacation. It's the best. I mean, we could sit here and talk a whole 30 minutes about this movie if we wanted to. It's got so many great scenes, so many great characters. The best, obviously the best, in my opinion, the best version of the kids, Rusty and Audrey.
Rusty and Audrey.
And
played by Juliette
Lewis.
And Jeffrey, I don't remember his first name, Galecki, the guy who plays Leonard.
Johnny
Galecki?
Johnny.
He plays Leonard in The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. And then you also had the family, all the families coming together, and it's got this really, it reminds me of almost like it's like Married with Children. It's got this really raunchy, kind of over the top scene. The scene where the scene where he's staring out at the window, having the little vision about the girl in the swimming pool,
which was a take on Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, and the little girl comes out and stuff like that, and he's like talking to her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "Oh, you craping say that." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, crapping bricks." It's so many great moments in this film.
Randy Quaid is fabulous in this film. I mean, he's amazing.
He was good in the first Vacation film, but in this one, he just stood out. There's so much love. There's so much modern take on just over-the-top comedy.
Yeah, Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, Randy Quaid. I mean, they're all just hitting. And what's his name? From Noah's Arcade. Who's the guy that plays his boss?
I don't know his name. He's one of those
Noah's
actors.
Arcade, though.
Yeah, he's the guy
from Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, yeah.
What are your thoughts on this one, Chorizo?
You guys already covered most of them. Again, this is a movie where I love to watch my dad watch this movie, but I also really like this movie, and it's because I think that it really does embody, what actually does go on at Christmas. You're trying to be nice to your family and trying to be accommodating to your family, but all they're doing is pushing your buttons, and you're trying to do all these things and have a good Griswold family Christmas, and stuff like that. But everything ultimately, it just all kind of fails. But what matters is that, everyone is together and
there's
things like that.
Now there's so many ridiculous scenes that are over the top, like the sled scene or the scene when he gets stuck in the attic, and the Christmas
scene
lights.
where the ice cube sprays across the thing and flies over into Ellen DeGeneres, not Ellen DeGeneres,
Julie Louise Dreyfus.
I was trying to think, what was her name?
Margot.
Elaine.
I don't know, Margot.
There's a lot of ridiculous scenes in there, but that movie is just,
but at the same time, they all love each other. They all actually do care about each other.
And I started the tradition of watching this movie on Christmas. and we still do it to this day. It's been about 8 years or so that we've been doing this. It
I
is
remember
the ultimate.
I remember you rebelling the year I voted for Home Alone, and
Yeah.
you were like, everyone else kind of griped actually about it too. That's why we only did it that year.
Yeah.
I was kind of annoyed because everyone's like, we didn't watch Christmas Vacation, and I love Christmas Vacation.
It's our
honestly.
Christmas movie.
It is.
We all agree it's the best Christmas movie. It's the one that kind of embodies the spirit about Christmas in all three of ours things. Even though we have a different kind of view on the spirit of Christmas, it encompasses all of our views on Christmas. The person who loves Christmas movies but doesn't love Christmas, the person who loves Christmas but is whatever about Christmas, and the person who loves Christmas and hates Christmas movies, it all fits into our little molds of what we want out of a movie.
Yeah, here's why it's great, because it's real. It's how people act. This is it's obviously over the top and overstated, but it's really how people truly are and act. It's got the fun, the Christmassy aspect of where it's like, we really do care about each other, and there's all these beautiful things, and it's just got the ridiculous comedy aspect of it that I love so much, and that's why it's the best. That's why it stands out. That's why it's going to stay around, because it's more realistic than, say, It's a Wonderful Life, which is a great movie. It's more true to how we are as people.
All right, so that's going to be our thoughts on our Christmas movies this year. Thank you for joining our Christmas special. By the time you hear our next one, it'll be a new year. So any final thoughts on Christmas movies, Chorizo?
Just that even though I don't really like them, I will be watching a handful of them, even ones that aren't on my list.
A good movie is a good movie, and a good Christmas movie is even better because it makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. I love it, even though I hate the holiday.
All right, so that's going to be our Christmas special. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for Chorizo for sitting in with us. I know you really wanted to do this one. We're going to be coming back next week with our Harry Potter episode, so join us then. But thank you for coming and experiencing a little bit of Yule log joy with us. Yule log joy.
Again, I still want to know what the Yule is.
All right, have a good one. Merry Christmas, all.
Merry Christmas.
Go away or I shall taunt you a second time.
Monsieur Joshua!